Just on a side note, let's say if I'm mentally ill and I need help, but mostly it's not widely acceptable in the society. Like now it's getting better. Before, back in the days, but when do I feel and when should I consult a clinical psychologist? When what is the trigger point?
Yeah. So I'm very biased. I think we all need therapy
Yeah,
globally. Um,
yeah,
and I guess I say that because therapy can can be a space where you're just exploring what your experience has been. And I think as migrants, we have very particular experiences and sometimes are so feel very alone in our experience, and having someone to talk to about that, and having someone that is objective, that is not family, that is, that can help you problem solve some of the struggles that come into this work, migrating, is really useful for anyone. So I guess I'm biased to say everyone needs therapy, but I guess if you're feeling unwell, so if the some of the easiest way to think about mental health is, we often don't make notice of when we're well, but we notice when we're not well. So, like
correct.
physical illness, your GP doesn't need to tell you that you're sick; you feel it in your body, and it's the same with mental health. It's sometimes you feel things like you're finding it more difficult to snap out of things. Or to move through things, you're finding it harder to wake up in the morning. Any specific changes, so you're eating less or eating more, sleeping less or sleeping more, any disruption in how you normally function within the world, um, can be an indicator that something's not quite right.
Right.
The severity of that looks different, and you can seek help at any point. It doesn't have to be at the very end when you feel like you can't cope anymore. It's actually okay to seek out help when you're like, oh, I'm finding it hard to feel to deal with interpersonal conflict at work, and I'm just not able to pull myself out of low moods in the way that I used to be able to back in, before X, Y, and Z happened, before pre-pandemic, as is the case. Most of our capacity is a little bit lowered post-pandemic. So yeah, I would strongly encourage to seek support before things feel like you're in the space of a mental illness.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So let's say if someone is needing help, someone is seeking a therapy, and okay, so before I move to that question, I have this question. So
Yes.
what is the difference between a treatment and a therapy?
It's a very good question.
Thank you.
So, therapy is a very broad phrase, could mean a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Whereas treatment is specifically targeted around a problem. So, treatment might be specifically targeting a diagnosed issue, whereas
Mhm.
therapy could be like what I was talking about. It doesn't have to be a diagnosed issue. It may just be like you're wanting to shift something in your life, you're wanting to improve something in your life. Therapy can address that. Um, so, yeah, treatment tends to be more of a medical approach to intervention. And sometimes if you know you have I guess that's when you're in the mental illness space, treatment is appropriate. Sometimes we may not actually have a mental illness, we may just have some mental health difficulties, struggles, wanting to improve our well-being. That kind of tends to sit more in the therapy space.
Right. So when I am having a therapy, what can I expect?
Yep. So one is confidentiality. So
Right.
what you say in the room is stays within the room, and there are very few limitations to that, and that's mostly around risk. If you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, that is something where the information goes outside of the room. But the thing that you should expect is that what you're saying is confidential, and that is a legal requirement as practitioners, that we have to maintain confidentiality. And if we don't, we can lose our license. And most of the time, we don't want to do that because we like working. So expecting confidentiality is really important. And I think also around community, sometimes we think about when we talk about our problems, we don't want everyone to hear and know about them. So that's why I emphasize that this space is very much confidential. The other thing is that it should feel safe. It should feel like a space where you can share what you're going through, share what you're dealing with without judgment. And then the third thing is that it should make you more aware of what's going on for you and potentially, well, eventually help you manage that better. So, confidential, safe space, and then help you manage and cope better.